to 10 with minute 37 left in the game. We're following Sunday night.
The clock has hit 0, and overtime is here.
The 49ers win it!
Mark Grandy and Sterling Bennett are here for instant reaction.
Stop it. Come on.
We'll take you into the locker room and hear from the players and Kyle Shanahan.
I thought Brock did a good job. He has a chance to win.
And, of course, we want to hear from you, the faithful. Overtime starts now.
Yes, it does. Welcome into overtime here on 95.7 The Game. Final minute and a half ticking off the clock down at Levi's Stadium as we speak. The Niners will win. The final score we don't yet know 100%, but they're up by 10 points. It's 20-10. They just forced a turnover on downs. The Niners will knock off the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday Night Football and improve to 5-2. Welcome into overtime here on 95.7 The Game. I'm Mark Grandy. Sterling Bennett with me as always. Sterling, welcome. Good to be with you again. And Niners back in the win column after what was another really strange week injury-wise. Didn't know exactly what this defense was going to look like, playing it for the first time in a full game without Fred Warner in a really, really long time. They hold an Atlanta team that dominated the Buffalo Bills last weekend to just 10 points, and they win this game, Sterling, in all likelihood, by double digits.
It just goes to show you how every Sunday brings something different in the NFL. The Falcons beat Buffalo last weekend, as you already pointed out. Now the Niners, who don't have their two best defensive players. Bernardo Green, their outside cornerback, gets hurt to begin this game, and somehow they hold the Falcons offense that has Drake London and Kyle Pitts and has first-round picks littered throughout it to under 13 points, maybe 10 points when it's all said and done. It's a young defense that is somewhat unproven, but as every game goes by, I start to buy in every time. Okay, here we go. What does this week have for us out there in Santa Clara? You lose against the Buccaneers last Sunday in a pretty ugly game in kind of what our opinion was about it, but you get back home, get the win. You're now 5-2. You stay afloat in atop the NFC West again. So really it is, no matter how you win, as you win for the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, and this was not like a sexy game. This wasn't a game where the quarterback throws for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns and they put up 30-plus points. Like, Mac Jones threw for 152 yards, had more turnovers than he did touchdowns. 1 turnover, no touchdowns. But the Niners grinded this one out. And you ask me, Sterling, like, beginning of the year, you were to ask, all right, Brock Purdy goes down, George Kittle's on IR, the defense loses their 2 most important pieces in Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. How do the Niners go into games against teams like Atlanta, good teams, and win? What's the game plan? And generally the game plan, in my mind, Sterling, would be, well, you run the ball and you shorten the game. You just run the ball, you put together long drives, you try to limit the amount of time your defense is out there, and you limit the number of drives, the number of times the opponent touches the ball in the first place. And that's what the Niners did today, which I guess, in that sense, shouldn't really be that shocking because that is the strategy. That should be the way that it happens. But this is a Niner team, Sterling, that was legitimately the worst rushing team in the NFL coming into today. Averaging the fewest yards per carry in the entire NFL. They didn't have a rushing touchdown until last week, and they come in. Maybe it's because George Kittle is back, despite that he didn't have a single catch in this game. The run game turned around immediately. Christian McCaffrey, 129 rushing yards. He averaged 5.4 a carry, had 2 touchdowns on the ground, and it was the Niner run game, Sterling, and specifically Christian McCaffrey, that willed this Niner team to a victory. They picked the perfect time to finally figure out their run game.
And they're playing one of the worst run defenses in football, but that really doesn't matter because they've been so bad at running the
against
football.
Everyone, Sterling. Yeah.
It's like they could play the 32nd ranked run defense and they'd have 65 yards and no touchdown and getting 2.8 yards per carry, and we'd say, yeah, that is how these Niners teams are playing the last year and a half or so. And to come out there in prime time at your own place, knowing that, well, yeah, you're getting George Kittle back. The odds are he's probably not going to be back in the fray. I think the quote was, I'm going to work myself back into shape in this game.
Yeah.
And you saw it, right? He had no catches, only targeted twice, I believe, in this one. And, but his impact was felt on the ground, opening up space for Christian McCaffrey. And we all thought, okay, you have Connor Colby out there. Your starting center, Jake Brendel, goes down, which, he's not great, but whenever you lose a starter, you start to question yourself, how's this game going to go? And all of a sudden, the run game comes alive, and we can certainly get into, how that fares down the road for San Francisco, but to make that kind of statement where Mac Jones and the offense has really been sputtering to even score 20 points a game over the course of the year, to do it the way they did it tonight, CMC going out there, going nuts, 2 rushing touchdowns. I can tell the fan base, myself, when you see that happen, your mind starts to go to the place of, well, if they can do this and Purdy maybe comes back next Sunday and Pearsall maybe comes back next Sunday, you start to get really excited as to what this offense can look like when it's fully healthy. But again, that's a big ask for this team, especially this season. But love what Shanahan and Seams did tonight on the ground and pound, got the win. Great stuff.
Absolutely. Christian McCaffrey in this game, Sterling, 201 all-purpose yards. 201 yards from scrimmage, 129 on the ground with 2 touchdowns, 72 through the air on 7 catches. He was the Niners offense in this one. Of course, 201 scrimmage yards. That is more than 100 last time I checked. That's now 7 straight games to open the season, Sterling, where Christian McCaffrey has 100 or more scrimmage yards. Again, 7 straight games to begin the season, tying him with Roger Craig, who did it in 1988 for the most by a Niner to start a season in franchise history. So McCaffrey, despite this being like a career worst season in terms of rushing and yards per carry and all that, it's been bad for McCaffrey. It's been bad for the Niners. He's still 100 yards from scrimmage or more every single game. Today, by far his best in total and also on the ground. 129 on the ground, 5.4 per carry, 2 touchdowns, 7 catches for 72 yards. He was the Niners' leading receiver and their leading running back. Their leading running back and their leading receiver. Sterling, he touched the ball 31 times today. 31 times today, 201 total yards. It's insane that we began this season wondering about McCaffrey's calf, because that's what happened the Thursday before week 1, that he had to leave practice. He was limited. We're not sure if he's going to play week 1 in Seattle, and it seems like he's really the only star that stayed healthy this entire season, and he's still carrying and touching the rock as often, if not more, and in fact, it is more than basically any other star in the NFL.
Well, I think it's become pretty evident that the Niners would not be 5-2, let alone maybe a 500 and above team without Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. I mean, what he's done offensively to help keep them afloat, and we've talked so much about the guys that haven't been on the football field and the injuries they've had. The way he has seemingly become a top 5, top 10 receiver in football in the absence of Kittle and Ayuk and Pearsall and those guys, and even Jawan Jennings at times, and also still being able to, at least tonight, find success on the ground. While maybe you could argue he's older and he's had a lot of tread on those tires, he's not doing it the exact same way he used to, but Christian McCaffrey might be as effective as he ever has been right here through 7 games this year. Because they have to have him. If they don't, there may be, maybe they're 2-5. Who knows? Yep. That's how important he's been. Right now, he is my pick to be the comeback player of the year, along with Dak Prescott. Like, why wouldn't he be? Yeah. He has meant so much and led this offense to a 5-2 record. He's been a godsend for Mac Jones in the backfield, where on the biggest play of the game, he ain't looking for Kittle. He ain't looking for the receivers. He's looking towards Christian McCaffrey on checkdowns. And I can't tell you how many times tonight I saw a 3rd and 4, and they finally got a first down on the ground. When has that happened in a year and a half? It hasn't. That's just the truth. And so Christian McCaffrey, he doesn't deserve one flower. He deserves an entire bouquet of flowers for what he's done so far this year for San Francisco.
Yeah, there multiple times, Sterling, on like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, they ran the ball and got first downs. Like that has not happened for this football team. Definitely not this year, and often not last year either. That was amazing to see for the 49ers, and that just gives this team a different angle that they have not yet had. They've had to win football games and lose football games, but they've had to try to win football games when their quarterback is throwing the ball 40 times. That's like what they've done almost every single game. Yeah. Tonight, Mac Jones, 26 pass attempts, 17 for 26, 152 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Maybe it wasn't the best decision on the interception. He threw it into a little bit of traffic, but Juwan was clearly worried about getting hit over the middle and pulled away from that ball. It was catchable, but he was going to have to take a hit. I'm sure that his ribs still aren't feeling great, and that was probably part of it. So some blame both ways there, but that was not just a flat-out terrible throw by Mac. But, I mean, this is not supposed to be an insult to Mac, Sterling, because this is just the way the Niners won this football game, but this felt like a 2021 Jimmy Garoppolo-led win, where the Niners lean on Deebo Samuel, they lean on George Kittle, and they don't ask their quarterback to do a whole lot, and they trust their defense to get stops, which, I mean, kind of bold considering the people you're putting out there in this game, but it worked out. But that's what the run game can do, Sterling. You don't have to have your quarterback throw for 350 yards just to have the chance to win.
Well, in tonight, I never felt as if the game was, running like the Niners were losing momentum. Yeah, there were some kind of small spurts maybe scattered throughout, but San Francisco felt in control from the jump. And I thought Tatum Bethune was awesome playing Mike tonight. Look, he's not Fred Warner, I get that, and there's going to be some plays on tape you don't love, but on the ground, the way he's able to be a run defender, flying around still, he is a San Francisco 49ers linebacker. But the offense in particular, what they were able to do to help shorten the game for their offense and almost make Mac Jones essentially be a third down mercenary. Can you simply extend drives on 3rd and 4, where in previous games, like you were saying, it's drop back 40 times and be the entire offense yourself. Yeah. And tonight,
and take a bunch of hits. Take a bunch of hits, by the way, and not be able to walk by the end of the game.
17 bananas and 45 emergency vitamin C's and IVs in the sideline. Get back out there. Let's not play Adrian Martinez, but tonight's game felt easier, and this is how Niner games used to feel like, even under a Jimmy Garoppolo offense, where you have the one no throw, maybe 2 or 3 a game. Y'all said, "Oh, dial it back, Jimmy." But this game felt a lot easier. It felt like they were in control the entire time. The defense played great football, and from the offense, you just felt like, okay, the bow is about to break. They're going to score a touchdown here. Everything's going to be okay because they can run the football. When the Niners can run the football, I can almost say they're unbeatable. That's how good they are, offensively at least, with Shanahan and co. at the helm.
Well, this year, when they run the football well, they are undefeated, Sterling. 1-0.
There you go.
It's only happened once. It happened tonight, and they won.
We'll take it.
So the McCaffrey part of this is obviously a gigantic chunk. I mean, we're going to spend most of the time when we're talking about the offense talking about Christian McCaffrey, and he absolutely deserves it. But Sterling, this was an Atlanta team. They've had a really weird year. They've beaten the Bills, and they've gotten shut out, lost by 30 to the Carolina Panthers. This is kind of a strange team, but you felt like they were on an upturn. They were on an upswing. Yeah. They just dominated, and I mean absolutely dominated the Bills. What was the final score of that game? It was closer than it actually ended up being. The Falcons were in control of that game from the beginning, and they didn't really ever feel like they were going to lose it. They are playing really good football. Bijan Robinson, best offensive player in the NFL, I think, through the first 6 weeks of the season. Probably the favorite to win Offensive Player of the Year if the voting was done before today. That would be my guess. And he comes in here and runs 14 times for 40 yards. That's less than 3 yards per carry, and catches 6 passes for 52 yards. One of those goes for a touchdown, the only touchdown of the game for the Atlanta Falcons. We can talk about how they limited Bijan. I mean, Drake London is also, people are beginning to learn about him more now, but one of the best and one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. Targeted 10 times, Sterling, but only 4 catches for 42 yards. You shut down, basically as good as you can, as best as you possibly can, you shut down 2 of the best offensive weapons in the NFL, and no doubt Atlanta's 2 best offensive weapons on a defense that was led by, as you mentioned, Tatum Bethune, making his first ever start as the green dot, the guy that is calling the plays and getting the plays to the rest of the defenders out there on defense. You even saw Curtis Robinson come in and do the same thing for a drive in the first quarter. What the defense did, Sterling, and major kudos to Robert Saleh. What the defense did, I was not expecting at all. I was expecting Atlanta up in the 20s, maybe even in the 30s in this game. I did not have on my bingo card a 10-point output for Atlanta today.
Well, and that's the roller coaster of a young offense trying to find their footing still and figure out who they are. And if you're the 49ers, you almost, although there is some fear that, okay, the Falcons beat Buffalo, maybe they're on the upswing, they're feeling themselves a little bit, they're feeling pretty good, and there is that fear there on the road. They're coming into your place, you lose against the Bucs, you're feeling somewhat timid, you lose Fred Warner, like you're kind of backed against the wall. But in that same vein, it may almost be good to play a young offense trying to find their footing still and figure out who they are, because they are susceptible to the roller coaster ride of ups and downs. And today, I don't think the Falcons played very good football, especially offensively.
Yeah.
The offensive line wasn't great. Penix, albeit, wasn't facing Nick Bosa and company. He had Bryce Huff in his back pocket every single snap, it felt like. There was some interior pressure coming from San Francisco's defense, too. But more importantly, Robert Saleh was putting his young defense in great position on second and third down with timely blitzes, getting the Falcons in second and long, bringing the blitz, forcing him into a third and long, and helping the defense along the way. So Saleh continues to earn that highest defensive coordinator paycheck he got during the offseason. And now you're seeing him do it without Bosa, without Bernardo Green, without obviously Fred Warner. And I think, not to say San Francisco's defense didn't miss a step, because he obviously will, and they're going to throughout the year, but with a game like this, primetime football, a game where you could get exposed defensively without your top guys, they played one of their best games of the season, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt. I mean, okay, let me just read off the Niners starters defensively, Sterling. I'm just going to read the names. The Niners starters: Sam Okawanu, Jordan Elliott, Kalia Davis, Mykel Williams, D. Winters, Tatum Bethune, Luke Gifford technically started, but the Niners were in nickel, whether it was big nickel with an extra safety or, Chase Lucas or whoever it was. But Luke Gifford technically started. Diamador Lenore, Marquise Siegel, Jair Brown, and Renardo Green. And Renardo Green went down with a toe injury and did not play the majority of this football game. This is not an insult to any of those 11 guys that I just mentioned, Sterling. But that has got to be one of the least proven and least talented 11 that you could start a defense with in the NFL. Like, there are bad defenses in the NFL. Not that this is a bad one. They played great tonight, but just purely from a what have you proven at the NFL level, how good are you? That's one of the least talented starting 11s that a defense in this league could have out there. And the Niners allowed 10 points versus the Falcons. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Michael Penix, Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, a quality wide receiver too. What that group did. And I mean, we can talk about Bryce Huff, who was not technically a starter, but got in the game and played often and was very, very good on pass rush downs. Tatum Bethune led the team in tackles. What Chase Lucas did on that 4th and 1, defending against Drake London, that might have been the play of the game. 4th and 1, which was after a 3rd and 1 and a run stuff by the Niners, by the way. Then a 4th and 1. Falcons within deep field goal range, down by 10 in the 4th quarter. Chase Lucas makes a diving pass breakup on a pass intended for Drake London on the right sideline on an out route. Turnover on downs. Niners get the ball back. They go right down the field over like 6+ minutes, get a touchdown to go up even more, and they win the game as a result. What the Niners defense did on that in that moment, Sterling, and shout out Chase Lucas, and throughout this entire game, it was so much better than I could have possibly expected.
Well, and it's not just putting guys in the right places to succeed, because Saul is going to do that. He's one of the best in football, but it's trusting guys that are special teams guys or dudes that run practice squads or guys that maybe you don't often see. And you ran down the entire starting lineup. Yeah. Like maybe one or two of those guys starts on another team. Like go to the Vikings, go to the Lions. Like Lenore and maybe Bryce Huff probably starts on one of those teams if you're lucky. Lenore certainly would, but it's just like the Niners truly don't have their defense intact. Obviously there's injuries there, but the bigger thing is you held what at least is on paper and has been through 6, now 7 weeks, one of the more explosive offenses in football that, have the ebbs and flows, but they can beat you. And they can beat you big time if they get momentum. And San Francisco never let them get momentum. They pretty much handled Robinson the entire game. London was a non-factor, which, I mean, Darrell Luter Jr., not a great player, but, hey, kudos tonight, buddy. Kudos tonight.
Yeah, stepped up, made a couple of big plays. They were kind of picking on him a little bit, went after him a couple of times, gave up a couple here and there, but largely he stood up. He was the guy that came in for the most part once Renardo Green went down. Hell of a performance by this Niner defense. The Niners knock off the Falcons 20-10. The final Niners improved to 5-2. They dropped the Falcons to 3-3. This is overtime here on 95.7 The Game. Mark, Randy, Sterling, Bennett with you. Let's go out to the phone lines and plenty of time for your calls at 888-957-9570. Again, 888-957-9570. We want to hear from you, Niner fans. And if you're getting in the car right now after you left the game down at Levi's Stadium, you're sitting in traffic down there, we'll keep you company. Give us a call. Again, 888-957-9570. Up first is Manny in Union City, who starts us off. What's up, Manny? What do you got?
Hey, check it out, guys. A couple of weeks ago, I called in about the whole Mac Jones and Brock Purdy being Earl Morrall and Brian Greasy. You know what? This Niners defense is going to be the no-name defense part 2. That was the other half of that great Dolphins undefeated squad. And what we saw tonight, man, it shades of we saw a Willis and Bowman. We've seen Greenlaw and Warner. Now, a couple of years down the road, we're going to be talking about Bethune and Winters. I know it's early, but you know what? When I saw that lineup in the beginning of the game, I said, this is going to be a long game. And then when Luter comes in for Green, I was like, oh, here we go. But they held on their own. They played with passion, with fire, with want, and you can't coach that to a certain degree. And Bryce Huff, man, we were all scratching our heads about where we're going to get that pass rush. Well, there's the answer. And it all revolves around that listening bald man on the sideline who we are so happy to welcome back, man.
Yeah, you're talking about Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh, yeah, Manny?
You got it.
Yeah.
Great pairing, man. Great win, great game. Proud of the guys, man. And McCaffrey, good to see him get his love. But let's spread the ball out a little more, man. That was like a one-man show almost.
Yeah, Manny, appreciate the call. I mean, this is
listening bald man.
Listening bald man. Shout out to Robert Saleh. I mean, when it comes to McCaffrey's touches, Sterling, like you have to walk the fine line of how much do I want to win this game? Because if you don't give the ball to McCaffrey 30 times, you might not win this game. Like, he was the only guy on offense doing. I mean, Brian Robinson had a couple of nice carries early in the game. His runs in the second half weren't quite as effective. I did like the fact that he got more opportunities, 9 carries, 36 yards. Now, a lot of that is just because the run game was working and the Niners' drives were long. They had a 13-play drive, an 11-play drive, another 11-play drive. As a result of that, you're going to get more looks for your backup running back, but I did like that it seemed like there was an emphasis made by Kyle Shanahan on getting Brian Robinson those touches, but the Niners controlled the ball, 32 minutes of possession, not a gigantic difference there, but they had the ball for more than half of the game. When you do that and you run the ball well, Sterling, generally your running back tends to touch it a lot, and you needed him to touch it a lot. I don't have an issue with McCaffrey's usage in this game. Now, maybe there comes a point down the road where he breaks down. That's certainly possible, but I'm not willing to trade to diminish the threat of that in the future for a loss right now. I'm doing everything I can to get a win right now and moving on.
You have to assume the hope is that, you may have to feed Christian McCaffrey a lot early in the season, but once you get healthier with Kittle and Pearsall and those guys and get them more kind of in tune in the offense, it takes the pressure off of him. But we've talked plenty over the last year and a half or 2 years now about, how do you limit CMC in the tackles and the beating he takes every single weekend. And that's still a factor, but I think the Niners can't afford to not let him not take it. Like, they have to have him out there with the football in his hand 30 times a game, because if they don't, the odds are they're not going to win these football games. And you saw CMC tonight on the ground through the area, 2 touchdowns, caught probably the most important third down pass of the game in the red zone, kind of late, and set himself for a big touchdown. So I get it. You worry about the future, but if you're the Niners, you kind of can't look too far ahead, because the way the season's gone, you don't know who's going to be out there any given Sunday. So feed CMC as long as you can and hope it works out the rest of the season. Yeah,
going to go to the phones here in just a sec. Evan, you're coming up in a minute. 888-957-9570. That play, though, you're referencing, Sterling, after the Chase Lucas 4th and 1 pass breakup that got the turnover on downs. Niners began that drive at the 35-yard line, at their own 35, with 8:16 on the clock. They go 11 plays, 64 yards. They take nearly 6 full minutes off the clock. And by the way, those 11 plays, 6 of them were touches by Christian McCaffrey, including the last 4. And one of those last 4 was the play you're talking about. 3rd and 13 from the Atlanta 21. McCaffrey's lined up like in the slot, but like running back depth. So he lined up in the backfield, and then they motion him out to left side of the quarterback, but still like a good 5 or 6 yards off the line of scrimmage, but kind of in that slot position. He just runs a simple up the seam on the left side, little bit of a shoulder fake going left like he's running a corner route, then cuts quickly back towards the middle part of the field, and perfectly timed throw by Mac Jones on 3rd and 13, 17 yards to McCaffrey down to the Atlanta 4-yard line. Then next play, looked like McCaffrey was stuffed, and then Connor Colby and the rest of the offensive line just pulled and dragged and pushed him into the end zone for a touchdown to put the Niners up by 10, and they took a lot of time off the clock. That basically iced the game. But yeah, that 3rd and 13 throw to McCaffrey, probably the biggest offensive play of the day for the 49ers. All right, 888-957-9570. Evan is at Levi's and wants to join in on the conversation. What's up, Evan? You're on overtime.
Hey, what's going on? Just obviously we're giving the defense a lot of credit, but I just want to say George Kittle was indispensable in the run game. I mean, he didn't get any catches, any yards, but what he did for that run game and for Christian McCaffrey just speaks volumes on how we were able to win this game. And then another question I had, obviously this defense played great, and we're going to see some of the flaws come through later on in the season, but what player would you want to get right now, like a defensive end? I know Kayvon Thibodeau's out there. Trey Hendrickson, after Cincinnati won, might be off the table for now. But what trade pieces would you add to this team currently? Thank you.
Good question, Evan. I'll get to the trade question in a sec. I did want to focus for a sec on what he brought up first, Sterling, which was George Kittle and his impact on this game. I'll be able to see a lot more when I go back and watch it for the second time, and I can watch specifically what George Kittle was doing in the run game. But I think Evan's right. I mean, Kittle was targeted twice without a catch. Almost every other tight end in the NFL that is a receiver of the quality of Kittle, you don't have a catch, you're not going to impact the football game. But there's no doubt that Kittle had an impact on this football game, and a positive impact at that. Was he the sole reason the Niners finally were able to run the ball? Probably not. It also had something to do with the Falcons, I'm sure. And the offensive line was better today than it was, say, in Tampa last week. It's probably a bunch of things combined into one. But it does not shock me, Sterling, that once Kittle comes back, the Niners improve in the run game. Not that it's the only reason why, but you just know what he means to the Niners, outside zone scheme run. They run to him and Trent Williams' side very often when he's lined up to the left side of Trent Williams on the left side of that offensive line. You run behind two guys that you know are going to win their matchup very, very often. That makes a big difference. So I'm not surprised the Niners' run game took off once Kittle got back.
And look, you can't give Kittle credit for the 5.4 yards that seems he had on the ground per carry.
Yeah.
However, I don't think, like you were saying, Mark, it's shocking or surprising that you do see a near 2.4, 2.5 yard per carry increase once George Kittle comes back. We've talked a lot about, Jake Tungus really isn't a blocker. Luke Farrell hasn't been the blocking tight end you hope he would be.
Paid him a lot of money
during the offseason. Yeah.
He should be.
The job has not been done very well.
Yeah.
But you get Kittle back, and you just see the immediate impact he has. And I think, it goes to show you that, yeah, you want to get Kittle in the offense, and you want him to have 8 catches per game and be a red zone threat. And all that's true. It'll come, hopefully. But what you really need him to be is the inline tight end to help spring CMC and Brian Robinson and kind of, in a way, make Shanahan's offense move and be able to operate correctly. And it does when Kittle's out there. I think had Kittle been out there the previous 5 or 6 weeks, you would have probably seen a better offense on the ground. Now that remains to be seen, but I don't think it's too shocking that when George Kittle comes back, Christian McCaffrey has his best game of the season on the ground and through the air. So, the George Kittle effect cannot be ignored. And he's just Welcome back, George.
Yes.
We need you big time. Welcome back.
Desperately needed him. 888-957-9570. Always time for your calls. We're with you until 10 o'clock tonight here on Overtime. But let's tackle the second part of Evan's call, talking about ways to help this defense in terms of going out and making a trade. He listed Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals, and
Kayvon Thibodeau.
And Kayvon Thibodeau of the Giants.
Go Ducks, baby.
Go Ducks. I love Kayvon Thibodeau. Giants had maybe the wildest loss in the NFL this year, although that's probably reserved for the Cardinals against the Titans a handful of weeks ago. This was up there, though. They led by 19. There was 19-0. New York Giants after 3 quarters in Denver versus the Broncos. Then Denver scores 33 points in the fourth quarter and wins that game 33-32. Just an insane football game. I bring that up because maybe that pushes the Giants eventually towards selling. However, with the way that they've been injected with energy with Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo, I don't think that they're going to be selling anytime soon, despite the loss today. Doing business with the Bengals is always difficult, and they just got to win with Joe Flacco. Maybe they seem less eager to sell at the deadline as well. If I'm talking about teams to target, teams to circle that will, I guarantee, be selling pieces, I'm looking at the Miami Dolphins, Sterling, and you're trying to get maybe someone like a Jalen Phillips or somebody like that on the Miami Dolphins, because that's a team that you can book it, close up shop. Their season is over. I would not be shocked if Mike McDaniel is fired tomorrow. Love Mike McDaniel. Come back and do what Robert Saleh did. Can't make it as a head coach, at least not initially. Come back under Kyle Shanahan and improve your image before you head out and become a head coach once again. But I would circle the Miami Dolphins defense, and specifically someone like Jalen Phillips as the kind of player the Niners might target.
Yeah, I think on top of that, especially in Miami, you have Bradley Chubb, who is not my first choice. I don't think would be most fans' first choice, but veteran guy, knows how to get to the quarterback, and I think although he wouldn't be a great base down player, you can mix and match and at least deepens your rotation, a more kind of savvy veteran pass rusher. But I would stay in the same division, and I'd go to the 0-7 Jets. I would say, hey, Aaron Glenn, you're on the sideline dancing, losing football games. Do you want to move one of your former first-round picks that Robert Saleh chose when he was the head coach? I'm looking at guys like Will McDonald, but more importantly, probably Jermaine Johnson, a guy that was hurt last year, coming off the injury, looks healthy, looks pretty fresh, and I think could give San Francisco a boost as a former first-round pick. So I don't know what San Francisco wants to do. Like, I think they're kind of still caught in between of we want to go all in and we also want to be smart.
Yep.
But I think a smart move might be calling the Jets and saying, hey, a third-round pick for a quote-unquote former failed first-round draft pick and kind of get the best out of that guy. I think that might be the avenue San Francisco should take if they want to go out there and make a big deal come trade deadline day.
Yeah, we'll see. And the trade deadline, I believe it's November 3rd or 4th. It's
sounds right.
The week after the Week 9 games, and Sunday of Week 9 is November 2nd. So it's either a day or 2 days after that.
And that's funny enough after the Niners are in New York. So
playing the Giants, not the Jets. But
it's not a far trek to go right on that Niner plane for the Jets players.
Well,
so
where are the Jets that week? I would imagine they're not at home because you can't play 2 games at MetLife on the same day. Jets schedule. Week 9. Let's see. The New York Jets, Week 9, have a bye. Oh, so they will be in New York.
Perfect. Hey, it all lines up, Mark. Just get on the plane, Jermaine. Get on the plane, Will McDonald. Come to San Francisco for half a season.
John Lynch will be traveling with the Niners to New York for that one. There's no doubt about it. So you have 2 more games before the trade deadline. Week 10 at home versus the Rams, November 9th. That will be the first game post-trade deadline, so the Niners will have to make their decisions relatively soon. We're about 2 weeks away from the trade deadline, so that is quickly approaching. There's no doubt, Sterling, that the Niners, if they feel like they want to improve the team in one way or another, it's going to be on the defensive side of the football, because that is the group that has been ravaged. You could legitimately argue they need help at all 3 positions defensively, or all 3 areas, all 3 levels, the defensive backfield, the corners and the safeties, and then also, of course, linebacker with Fred Warner. It's going to be impossible to find somebody to replace Fred Warner. You probably just roll with your young guys and hopefully that they take steps forward. Still seems most likely the spot that the Niners would be able to help, to get help in here, and the one that makes the most sense is still a pass rusher. There's no doubt, Sterling, that this group, I don't think will be good enough to get it done over the course of the entire season, but what they did today was absolutely inspiring. You saw Malik Mustafa in his second game. He was really good in this game, I thought. Bryce Huff, he only had 1 sack, but he was around Michael Penix all game long. Tatum Bethune was absolutely great in this game from what you could have possibly expected. The Niner defense, they made a point today, and it was not that we don't miss Fred Warner and we don't miss Nick Bosa, because of course we do, but some of these young guns who maybe haven't been getting a ton of run are a little bit better than we were expecting. At least that's certainly what I thought about Tatum Bethune today.
When the hope was that you only have maybe 4 or 5 of those guys, not 8 of them, not 9 of them out there. And, that's the unfortunate part of injuries of you have to rely on guys that me, you, and maybe even the coaching staff to a certain extent doesn't really know what they're going to get out of them. And you can obviously hope you can get the best of things, but you never know. And there'll be plenty of bumps down the road for guys like Bethune and guys like Mustafa. They're young players still trying to make their way in the NFL, but tonight, to me, after the loss against the Buccaneers, you lose Fred Warner. We all questioned, I don't know how they can do this. Like, you lose Fred. Penix was one of the best quarterbacks targeting the middle of the field. And you lose Warner, the best guy at taking away the middle of the field. And although it was a group effort, you have to give Bethune credit of not blinking in a moment like this. Prime time, at home, the entire world is watching you replace the best linebacker in football. How do you respond?
He's legitimately one of the biggest talking points in this game.
Yes. He's up in the crowd, up there with his foot in a cast, cheering on the team. And you saw Bethune in pregame wearing Fred Warner's rookie season jersey, number 48, and now his jersey, and you're like, oh, you are setting yourself up for a lot of big expectations. And if you don't meet them, we're going to be having a very negative conversation. But to his credit, he came out there, a 7th-round rookie last year, a guy that was on, practice squads and special teams, and a guy that you just said, you hope there's something there. At least in his first NFL career start, he looked like a guy that you can buy into, at least in the intermediate. Whenever you get Fred back, maybe it's next year, maybe it's late for a playoff run, who knows. But Bethune certainly instilled more confidence in me that they can at least hold things down in the meantime.
Yeah, 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. Niners knock off the Falcons 20-10. Niner fans, we want to hear from you, and if you're leaving Levi's, get into your car, sitting in traffic, we'll keep you company. Again, give us a call, 888-957-9570. Hell of a win. This is the first win the Niners have had, Sterling, where you can say, like, they absolutely deserved and should have won this game. Like, all of their other wins are coin flip games. Like, legitimately, all of them. The New Orleans one, maybe the least so out of the other 4 wins, but still, that game was up in the air in the fourth quarter. Yeah, what's up?
Is this their first 2-score win of the season?
I think it's got to be, right? I will confirm that for you.
It has to be.
Win by 4 in Seattle, win by 5 in New Orleans, beat Arizona by 1, beat the Rams by 3 in overtime, and win by 10 tonight.
Wow.
Their first 2-score double-digit win. This is the first non-coin flip game, and Tampa is a hell of a football team. Yeah. 1 loss. They're a really, really good team. Atlanta is a quality team. The Rams are. That group of 3 I think is the best 3 teams the Niners have played this year. Jacksonville maybe is up there, but I'm not.
Seattle's not bad.
You're right. Seattle's not bad either, but. Maybe it's not quite as clear as I thought.
Take back everything I just said.
I am a big fan of Atlanta tonight, notwithstanding. Yes. Maybe I'm wrong in that, and maybe they're gonna prove me wrong. They're now 3-3. I think Atlanta is a quality football team. I like the direction that they're headed. I guess the simplest way that I can put it, Sterling, is beating this team by 10 points. That's impressive as hell, and it's up there for one of the more impressive games the Niners have played all season long, if not the most.
This Falcons team will be in the playoff hunt towards the end. Maybe not week 18, but they're going to be in it till the very end, and could be a wild card team, could be one of the better kind of non-division winners in football, because I expect the Buccaneers kind of take over things in the NFC South again. But tonight shouldn't be, oh, you beat the Falcons. It's like, no. Like, San Francisco ran for 100-plus yards against a pretty rough Falcons run defense, but this is kind of a proving point game for San Francisco. Can you do it without Fred? Can you do it on the ground again? And we all had those questions, and they were answered of, yeah, we can, against a team that will likely be in the playoffs or at least vying for a spot when it's all said and done. So hold your head high, Niner fans. You beat the Falcons, a 500 team that walked in and beat the Bills last Sunday. Like, that's a pretty big deal. They felt they were riding high, and you knocked them down a peg. That's a pretty good thing. Humble pie for some Falcons out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so this Falcon team, you're right. They are a weird team. That's the best way to put it. They lost a one-score game to Tampa Bay week 1. They will tell you they should have won that game. They're probably right. They then beat Minnesota on the road. They dominated. That was J.J. McCarthy's second and still to this point his last start, and I'm not sure he's going to start again this year. Who the hell knows with the way that Minnesota is going. They then lost 30-0 at Carolina. They bounced back, and they beat the Commanders at home, then had a bye, beat Buffalo on Monday night last week. They won by 10, but really it was a more dominant win than that, and then they lose this one by 10 points to the Niners. They're now 3-3, so they are a weird team. I think they're better than that 3-3 record suggests, but it definitely should not take away from what the Niners did today. I thought it was a great game from the coaching staff, Sterling, Kyle Shanahan, and his offensive game plan. It worked. And obviously so much of that is just, are you going to be able to run the ball or not? Because that makes everything 10 times easier on Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan, of course, deserves credit for getting the run game working finally in the 7th game of the season, but he stuck with it. And he just simply said, all right, Mac, you ain't gonna have to do all that much. Just don't mess it up. He did not mess it up. The Niners won this game. I thought Shanahan called himself a good game. We know, of course, what Saleh did on the defensive side. This was a good game as well for the Niner coaching staff.
Well, and it's hard to point around and say, where do they falter? It's like the coaching staff just always seems to have these guys ready to go. Where last year we could talk, for a whole season about, what's wrong with this guy? What's wrong with that guy? And like, what are we doing? But this may be one of the best coach teams in football. And when you're this depleted with injuries, you have to be. And really, Kyle and Robert have been a massive factor on top of the play of the players themselves. But the coaching staff has been a pivotal reason they have won all 5 games this year. So kudos to Kyle. And John Lynch, too, why not? And Robert Saleh for getting things done out there in Santa Clara.
Yeah. All right, time for a break here on Overtime. Caesar, I see you on hold. Stay there. We'll get to you right when we come back. We're with you until 10 o'clock, so we got another hour with you here on Overtime. That's Sterling. I'm Grandy. We will hear from Kyle Shanahan next hour, as well as he addresses the media postgame down at Levi's. Plenty more to come. Niners beat the Falcons 20-10. We're back with more on Overtime after this on 95.7 The Game.
Presenting a Gain Flings love story. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus this morning when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. Alas, I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Try Gain Flings with OxyBoost and Febreze.
Viant, innovating digital advertising. Didn't think you could advertise on the largest sport platforms? Think again. Viant helps brands show up where it counts, on live sports, where audiences are the most engaged. It's simple, smart, and built for results you can actually measure. No wasted time, no wasted spend. Viant. Visit ViantCTV.com and get your message in front of the right audience today.
Shop top brand tires at Big O with the lowest tire price guarantee. Now through October 19th, get up to $100 instant savings on 4 select in-stock Nitto, Nexen, or Toyo brand tires. Installation required, disposal fees extra, not good with other offers. See Big O dealer for detail.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with AutoPay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just 1 cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple thing. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here. Based on analysis by Ookla of speed test intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025, Ookla trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing after $20 and monthly bill credit plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
Our lives are the sum of our choices. Bring home Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning on DVD and 4K now. Tom Cruise stars as Ethan Hunt in this action-packed thrill ride. For your chance to win a copy of 4K, courtesy of Map 360 Collective. Enter online at 957thegame.com.
This is it, your last call clearance event at Lazy Boy. Save up to 50% off store-wide on sofas, sectionals, recliners, and more. Don't miss unbeatable savings on an American icon. The last call clearance event happening now at your local Bay Area Lazy Boy.
It all comes down to this, folks. Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain. Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast! Speaking of fast, did you just see that play? Yeah, he vaporized that ball. That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Are you tired of online threats? Then get an antivirus. It's the only online protection you will ever need.
Disclaimer: an antivirus is just half protection online. It will not protect you from snoopers or encrypt your traffic. So get better online protection with NordVPN. NordVPN will encrypt your traffic, protect you from malware and phishing, and stop annoying ads. Save 77% on NordVPN and get 3 extra months.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ-FM in HD1 San Francisco, on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
Free to get the gifts. They close it out. And here he is on the run. Inside. Pushing the pile to the goal line. In for the touchdown. Have a day, have a night. CMC. TD.
Now back to overtime. Instant reaction to the game with Mark Grandy and Sterling Bennett. We are the Bay Area's football station. 95.7 The Game.
Yeah, we are. And the Niners are the Bay Area's football team, and they're now 5-2. That call you just heard, Christian McCaffrey's second touchdown of the game. Mike Tirico on NBC. McCaffrey, 201 yards from scrimmage, and those 2 touchdowns on the ground, was the team's leading rusher and receiver. He wills the Niners to a 20-10 win on Sunday Night Football over the Falcons. Welcome back to Overtime. Mark Randy, Sterling Bennett with you. 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. Caesar, I see you. You're coming up next, and then followed by Dave. Hang out on hold. We will get to both you in a sec. Sterling, I was thinking during the break, Niners are 5-2. Niners are 5-2, 7 weeks into the season. If I were to tell you before week 1, and, you know, I'm not telling you the injuries that were going to happen. I'm not telling you Brock is going to play in only 2 games and be compromised at least for chunks of both of those games. I'm not going to tell you that Kittle plays in one of those games plus a drive in another one. I'm not going to tell you about Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. I'm telling you, 7 weeks in, the Niners are 5-2. Would you have taken that if I told you that at the beginning of the season?
100%. Like, yes. If you say no, you're freaking nuts. Like, anyone would say yes. I would have said, hey, 4-3, give me that. You're above 500. Why not? You played tough opponents, played the Rams, you played the Buccaneers, the Falcons are pretty good. Like, 4-3 would have been good enough for me, but you're 5-2. And then you add in the context of how they got there and why they've gotten there and who they do and do not have. You're like, 5-3. I mean, if you're able to push through the obstacles they have had, 5-3 feels more like 7-0. Now, they're not 7-0, but it certainly feels like you're one of the best teams in football, and you haven't reached your peak yet. Unfortunately, now, probably not going to truly have that peak you could if you were fully healthy, but That isn't to say that there aren't better things coming up for San Francisco once you get Purdy and Pearsall back, and maybe Ayuk comes back, and maybe they can make a trade. But 5-2, yeah, I would have jumped in a pool of whatever you wanted me to and said, if you can guarantee me 5-2, I would say I'm doing it right now. I'll do it for free as long as San Francisco can be 5-2.
Yeah, and the 5-2 also is 3-0 in the division and 5-1 in conference. So it's basically as good of a 5-2 that you could possibly get with 3 division games and 6 conference games. One of your 2 losses is not in the conference, and none of your losses are in the division. As a result of that, the Niners break the tie with the Rams. They're both 5-2. Niners, though, 5-2 with the division win, so they are first place in the NFC West currently. I was also thinking, Sterling, just looking back at the record, and this is something that I stumbled into when I was trying to say that I think Atlanta is one of the best teams the Niners have played so far this year. Might not be true, because you look at the schedule now, Sterling, and all the talk in the preseason and the summer and leading up to the beginning of the season, well, the only reason the Niners win-loss total is 10.5 is because the schedule is so dang soft. All right, first 7 games of the year. Seattle, pretty damn good football team. Jacksonville, they have a win over the Chiefs. Like, not a bad football team by any stretch. The Rams, probably, I mean, they could easily be 7-0. That's one of the best teams in the NFL. Tampa Bay, almost as injured as the Niners. They have 1 loss on the season, and Atlanta, a weird team, but has just came off a dominant win over the Bills. That's not an easy 7-game stretch, Sterling. In fact, it's pretty damn tough, and they're 5-2 with their injuries. It's honestly incredible.
Well, and 3 of their 5 wins have come against teams above 500. Like, it's not as if they're playing bad teams, and even the Cardinals had won a handful of games early in this season, and we all know that September is a tricky month. Teams start off slow, bad teams start off hot, and even that Saints win, although it isn't a great win overall, it doesn't look terrible. Like, they're putting up a fight against the Bears and against the Giants a couple weeks ago. And look, it's the Saints, but, the Falcons are a 3-3 team now. They're going to be like the Seahawks, like the Rams, like the Jaguars were, and now like the Falcons are. They're going to be in that playoff hunt. And when you beat teams that are probably going to be in the same grouping as you, when it's all said and done, every win matters. So it may not feel this way now. You beat the Falcons in week number 7, whatever. Yeah, well, if they are 9-8, and you're 9-8, and you hold the tiebreaker, and you get to play a better team down the road in the wild card, or it's the Rams in the division, that's a big difference in how your playoff seeding looks. So a win like tonight is equally as important as a win like the Seahawks and against the Rams, where albeit not division wins, but it could be for a wild card position if things do come down to that.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, 888-957-9570. We'll hear from Kyle Shanahan coming up in a little bit, but first, out to the phones. Those of you waiting patiently, we appreciate it. Up next is Caesar in Hayward. What's up, Caesar? You're on overtime on 95.7 The Game.
Are you kidding me? What a game. You're going to tell me we're going to lose Fred Warner last week and our defense is going to show out the way they did? My God, I'm so happy we got Robert Saleh back, man. I'm so pumped. We got him back in the Bay. The Jets don't know what they cut, man. Woo!
Yeah.
All right,
yeah, Caesar, I love it.
I see you.
I love it. And yeah, I mean, the Jets are winless. The Jets are winless. Not that I'm telling you that if Robert Saleh's there, that they would be 4-3.
They'd have 2 wins if Robert Saleh was there.
Probably. Now they're gonna pull a Jets, and with a trash roster and a quarterback that can't throw the football, they're gonna fire their head coach, who they just hired, and then they're just gonna go down this dumpster fire all over again, because that's what franchises like the Jets do. But yeah, great reacquisition by the Niners to bring in Robert Saleh, because there's no doubt, Sterling, Nick Sorensen's defense without Fred Warner. Let's just say Nick Sorensen was coordinating this defense tonight. Nick Sorensen coordinated tonight's Niner defense versus the Falcons. Am I crazy for thinking the Falcons probably put up 25, 30 points tonight?
Oh, I was thinking 36. I was thinking higher than that. I don't think it's too far to say that San Francisco may have had the best offseason of any team. Now, maybe I'm forgetting of somebody, but kind of, focusing on San Francisco, Michael Williams, Alfred Collins, both those guys have come up big in a couple wins this year. Upton Stout, although they didn't play tonight, had a big PBU against the Cardinals early. You go bring in Bryce Huff, who was money tonight and has been money all year essentially for San Francisco. Yeah. You go get Robert Saleh, and it's like that to me is like that's an A+ offseason. Now we'll see when it's all said and done how things work out, but you could argue that San Francisco has had as good of an offseason simply based off firing and bringing in new coaching staff members as any other team in football. Now again, there's other teams I'm sure I'm forgetting, but San Francisco's 5-2, atop the NFC West, and you can argue that the coaching staff switch from Sorensen to Saleh may be the biggest factor in that, and you don't even have to discuss personnel. That this team is 5-2, yes, for a lot of reasons, but one of the biggest ones is the coaching, and one of the biggest ones is not having Nick Sorensen calling plays and Robert Saleh calling plays for this defense.
Yeah. Can we include Eddie Pinheiro as part of the offseason? I know, because I know it technically happened in the regular season. But if we want to just stack the deck, we can call Eddie Pinheiro part of the offseason. He was perfect again today. And Sterling, how about this? Eddie Pinheiro has a franchise record for consecutive made field goals to open a season with 17, passing Robbie Gould from 2017. And also, how about this? And this comes courtesy of Nick Wagner, who covers the Niners for ESPN. Eddie Pinheiro on field goals of 40-plus yards this year, 10 for 10. Jake Moody on field goals of 40-plus yards last year, 10 for 20. Pinheiro has as many makes on field goals, 40 or more yards, on 10 fewer attempts than Jake Moody last year.
When you put it like that, you may want to put an A++ next to the Niners offseason. Addition by subtraction, but also they got some A+ players in there. I mean, and look, Jake Moody's having a pretty nice couple of weeks with the Bears.
Oh, he's been great.
Which, I mean, of course, that's how things go.
I never doubted the talent wasn't in Jake Moody's leg. Like you could tell. I mean, what he did at Michigan was unbelievable. There's a reason why. I mean, drafting a kicker in the third round is always a stupid idea. Always, no matter what. Don't do that. But there's a reason why he was drafted in the third round, because he was the most impressive kicker in college by quite a wide margin. Like, he has the talent. The relationship with this organization and the fan base was just so far gone. It was not ever going to work here. Kicking is a mental game, and that part of his game here was done. I would not be shocked if he goes on and has a pretty decent career somewhere else once he gets that fresh start, and maybe it'll happen in Chicago, although once Cairo Santos comes back, I would imagine it will be Santos' job still, but maybe it happens somewhere else. The reality was he could not be here anymore. You got rid of him, and you brought in somebody off the street who is now setting franchise records, which is just confirmation, Sterling, and this is happening every week around the NFL. How about Lucas Havrasik, kicker for the Packers today?
Who?
Lucas Havrasik, kicker for the Packers, replacing the injured Brandon McManus for the second straight week. He was getting ready to get his substitute teacher credential and then got called by the Packers, and today he set a franchise record for the longest made field goal in Packers history. Packers history. One of the most historic franchises in the NFL, and a dude off the street is setting records. All that means, Sterling, is if your kicker is struggling, there is no... You cannot act soon enough, is my point. I'm just glad the Niners finally acted.
Well, and they may have right now the best kicker in football. I mean, he's been perfect outside of one missed PAT, and that was his first one tonight. Nailed a 55-yarder, and I was sitting there like, we're settling for field goals? Like, go for it. Like, what are we doing? But I'm like, wait a minute. Take a step back, and I go, we have freaking nails back here. And Eddie Pinheiro, like, he's awesome. And I think one of my favorite things now is watching the camera cut to him after kicks. He's just out there just like shooting the finger guns off, like just yelling in people's faces. I'm like, dude, this guy's got some swagger. He's out there on the sideline yelling at guys and everything. I think I love Eddie Pinheiro. I love Eddie Pinheiro.
It's hard not to. He's been amazing. Awesome. Makes every single one of his kicks, including the ones from 50-plus yards, which we thought that wasn't what he was going to be able to do, but he's been doing that too. The guy is just absolutely amazing. Okay, we're going to hear from Shanahan coming up here in just a sec, but we got some calls to run through. 888-957-9570. Niners beat the Falcons 20-10. They're now 5-2, currently tied with the Rams atop the NFC West. But because of that overtime win down in LA, they have the tiebreaker. They are currently the number one. They have the number one spot in the NFC West. Back out to the phones. It's Dave in South San Francisco who joins us here on Overtime. What's up, Dave? What do you got?
Hey, guys, great game, and I'm a longtime Niner fan, but tonight's game was the first game I felt really comfortable with this season, like just pretty much no doubt about them winning. But I wanted to give a shout-out to the backup players on the offense and the defense. They're doing great, and we got a good kicker now. So the sky is not falling as far as I'm concerned. And also, we're in first place. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, you're right, Dave. I mean, that's a factual statement. The Niners are in first place in the NFC West. I'm glad that he just put it that way, Sterling. Shout out to all the backup guys. They're obviously backup guys that started this game, and we knew they were starting this game, like a Tatum Bethune and like some others. Those did not, jump out and surprise us. But some of the others, I mean, your center, Jake Brendel, goes down. And I know you and I have certain beliefs about Jake Brendel that Kyle Shanahan does not share. But anytime your starting center goes down, that's a big freaking deal. Matt Hennessy stepped in, and was he perfect? No. Did it feel like a major loss? No. And that's a credit to Matt Hennessy for what he did. And you might disagree, Sterling, and I'll get your thoughts in a sec. But I mean, just step it in and play. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do. And then defensively, we talked about this already. Upton Stout did not play in this game. Chase Lucas coming in and playing some nickel. Ronaldo Green going down. And you had Darrell Luter come in and hold his own at times. Like, you expect a drop-off. The fact that drop-off did not cost the Niners a win, I think, is worth mentioning, and they deserve credit for how they played.
The injuries of any team can be a very slippery slope, right? And, no team, no coaching staff, no fan base wants to say, oh, they were hurt, right? And that's the reason why they lost. But in San Francisco's case, you can certainly say, Fred Warner and no Nick Bosa, yeah, the odds are you're not going to win many of those games that you would with them on the football field. So I do love that the backups are not taking that as a reason to just kind of fold. Because last year's team would. Last year's team did. And I think this year's team, whether it's a coaching staff, whether it's the resiliency of the players in the locker room, you can clearly see that no matter how many points they're down by, no matter whether they're on the Rams goal line on a 1 yard to gain and the game's over in overtime or whatever it may be, that they don't have a quit in them. And then these young guys want to fight and earn their keep and almost fight to give up every yard of like, you are not going to gain one blade of grass against me if I have it, the power in me to stop you. So I think it's a testament to the young guys, the guys in the locker room, the veteran players, that they have these. This team is playing mentality-wise the right brand of football. That we may bend, but we don't break. Literally, figuratively, no matter how many yards you gain, you're not going to score a touchdown. We're going to hold you to a field goal. And I think, tonight's a big example of that for a lot of reasons. Bethune, Chase Lucas, Darrell Luter Jr. But on top of that, you mentioned Jake Brendel going down. And I don't think it's a shock to anyone that when Jake Brendel went down, hope he gets healthy. We do like Jake Brendel here, but I don't think it's shocking to see for how bad he has been for the last 2 years that when he goes out, the backup center comes in and the running game starts to play well and Christian McCaffrey starts to gain some ground. Now look, we want guys to be healthy. I'd prefer nobody get hurt. That said, I don't think it's shocking the fact that when Jake Brendel goes down, the running game finally gets moving to a point where
to be fair to Brendel, it was moving while he was in the game too.
Yeah, but it wasn't moving that well. It was moving 3.1 yards, boom, 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 then did 5.4 yards when he went out. And look, it's not all his fault. We get that. There's 11 guys on offense. You're playing the Falcons run defense. Context matters. I would just say we ran Jake Moody out of town, essentially. We just couldn't do it, and they tried to keep him as long as they could. This fan base is equally as ready for a change at center, and at least open-minded, if not the most open-minded fan of saying, hey, give Matt Hennessy a chance and see what it could do. Maybe it backfires. Just hear me out for 1 second. I don't mind Matt Hennessy getting the chance to start at center at least next weekend for San Francisco.
I should have known when I was talking about Brendel and Hennessy. It wasn't that you thought Hennessy was bad. It was just that you don't like Jake Brendel. I should have known. I know you well enough.
You saw the smirk and you saw the, like you said, I know what he's going to say.
You gave me a look and I was like, whoa, he disagrees with me. And then you just disagreed about a different part of what I was talking about, which I did not have on my bingo card. 888-957-9570. If you want to weigh in, let's go out to the phones again, and then we'll hear from Kyle Shanahan coming up in just a sec. Nick in Berkeley is up next. What's up, Nick? You're on overtime.
Man, I love the way our defense was hitting tonight. Man, Lucas, Mustafa, Bethune. I mean, man, my boy Luda, I love the way Luda plays, man. Luda is so physical. I love the physicality, man. I love the little stunts we were running, man. We were confusing them, and just the patience. I mean, Salah is the best offseason signing that we've had in years. You know what I'm saying? Like, to get him back is just godsend. And, like, man, I love a defensive coordinator that is down on the field calling his own plays because he's in the mix right there. He's not up in some stale booth, you know, trying to like, you know, you got the energy on the field, man, is palpable. You know, he's feeling the vibe, you know what I mean? Just like, man, the way that McCaffrey was running tonight and the way our offensive line was performing, man, look, after that tough loss in Tampa Bay, we slogged it out. We should have, and like, the Tampa Bay game, we should have won that game as far as I'm concerned. Like, it was just a weird game, man. We had him numerous times, we just couldn't get over them. But Mac Jones, man, it was a tight game. Tonight was a tight game into the fourth. And for once, you know, Shanahan held on, and, man, we made it happen. But, like, you know, we just got to keep rolling. And, you know, just one game at a time, man. But I just love the way our defense is out there hitting, man. We're getting real physical. And then receivers, I don't know what the run after catch was for a lot of these receivers. But like y'all was saying, we're making teams fight for every blade of grass, man. And we're not letting them in the end zone to get touchdowns. And that's the main thing, man.
Nick, I think it's a really good call, and I'm glad you brought up Robert Saleh specifically. I know we talked about him. We can dive into some specifics, Sterling. There was a couple of, and we noticed this early. Like I know you noticed this. I noticed this. There was not a lot of pressure on Penix early, and they had that long drive to begin this football game. The Niners, they hardly controlled. They hardly had the ball at all in the first half, because of a 19-play, 60-yard drive by the Falcons that took 10 minutes and 40 seconds off the clock. Nearly an 11-minute drive. Basically, not quite, but almost an entire quarter on one single drive. There were no explosive plays. It was just death by 1,000 paper cuts. And when they dropped back to pass, Penix had all day to throw, and you just can't ask your secondary, especially this secondary, a young secondary, to stay with receivers like Bijan Robinson or like Drake London or Kyle Pitts or Darnell Mooney for a handful of seconds. You're just asking to get beat, and that's what happened on that beginning drive. And then what happened from there, I thought we saw Robert Saleh bring pressure in unique and creative ways pretty often. There was this moment in the second quarter, Niners down 3-0. Falcons facing a 3rd and 7. Niners want to get the ball back so they can score before halftime on 3rd and 7. What does Robert Saleh do? He blitzes 6, including Jair Brown from the secondary, who got a free run right at Penix, sped up his process, got a hit on him, forced an incompletion. Great blitz by Saleh. Niners got the ball back. Then they go right down the field, 80 yards in 6 minutes. They score a touchdown. They take the lead. And then a little bit later on, it was late in the third quarter, Niners up by 3 points. Falcons beginning to drive a little bit. And there was a situation where it was a 2nd and long passing down coming up for the Falcons. And what does Robert Saleh do? He brings another blitz from a member of the secondary. This time it was Chase Lucas, who was in at nickel corner. And he comes racing in, gets a hit on Penix again, forces an incomplete throw to Drake London, and then it's a delay of game, 3rd and 14. You get a stop, you get the ball back, and then guess what happened there? You went down, and you had a chance to score on that one as well. That's just 2 examples that I jotted down, Sterling, but I thought Robert Saleh did what he generally tends to do very well, which is pick those right moments when to blitz, and when he did that, 1, Penix did not know where it was coming from, and 2, he was able to, as a result, get those free runners right to Penix without anyone chipping or making any kind of contact with him.
Well, to even zoom in further on that second example of the Chase Lucas 2nd and 9 blitz, it leads to a 3rd and 9, then a delay of game, and 3rd and 14 for the Falcons, and they don't score any points and they have to punt. What led up to that was a very scary point in the game for San Francisco because the Falcons just score, make it 13-10. Your offense then goes 3 and out.
You're right.
Right? Run by CMC. CMC check down, and then a 3rd and 1, Kyle Juszczyk fullback dive. That never works.
I was ripping my hair out.
It never works. San Francisco has to punt. Gives it right back to the Falcons. You're up by 3. You're sitting back like, oh my goodness. Your defense is gassed. Your offense, goes 3 and out. Then Solid dials up the blitz and gets the defense off the field, kind of saves the game in a way for San Francisco.
I'm glad you brought it up because even before the blitz by Chase Lucas, the previous set of downs was a 3rd and 13, and then the deep comeback to their 4th or 5th receiver, Washington, for 17 yards. He beat Luter and Jair Brown on that play, and I have it highlighted on my notes here. That feels like a turning point, a 3rd and 13 conversion, but then the next set of downs was that blitz by Lucas, which forced the punt. Certainly, are you there? I don't know if we lost you for a moment. Oh,
you got me.
I got you. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, there you go. I was like San Francisco's defense on that 3rd and 13. I wasn't there.
You're nowhere to be seen.
Here we are. But here we are. I was saying that the Niners finally have a defensive coordinator that can answer when the offense doesn't get a first down or goes 3 and out. There have been so many times this year because there's been so many one-score games that the offense late falters, and they don't get a first down. They don't milk the clock or whatever. They don't get a touchdown or a field goal, and they kind of falter for whatever reason it may be, and the defense answers immediately. Whether it's via Robert Saleh dialing up a blitz or getting a sack, whatever. They finally have a coordinator that can put guys in the right spots to succeed, yes, but also when Shanahan's side doesn't have success, the defense can pick them back up, whereas last year it would have been a disaster from almost every end of the football field for the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. Niners knock off the Falcons 20-10 at home on Sunday Night Football. They're now 5-2. They have the tiebreaker with the 5-2 Rams, and they are the number one spot in the NFC West. If you want to weigh in, we're with you for another 30 minutes here on Overtime. 888-957-9570. For now, though, let's hear from Niners head coach Kyle Shanahan, who addressed the media post-game in Santa Clara. Here is the Niners head coach.
I probably ask you a version of this just about every week, but what can you say about what Christian has just meant to this team through the first half of the season?
He's huge. I mean, he's the most consistent player I've been around. I mean, he just allows you to stay on track. He gets every yard in the run game and more. And what he does in the pass game, it's rare you're going to throw the ball to him and not get a completion.
I get the assumption maybe Purdy and Pearsall back next week. What kind of achievement do you feel like you've gotten, basically without a ton of guys, maybe get those guys back next week to go 5-2 to get through these games?
I've been proud of all the guys, overcoming a lot of stuff. I mean, offense, just what we went through that stretch without Kittle is nice to get him back today. Just the wideouts being banged up all year. I mean, this was the first week this year that JJ's been out of practice, and I know those guys are all just battling to get out there, and how Max stepped it up with Brock being out. The amount of defensive guys today who stepped it up. We all know all the eyes were on Tatum and how well he played, and he went out for a series early in the game and was able to come back in and play unbelievable. Luter stepping it up today with Renardo going out. We talked about Chase. Was awesome. Getting Kevin back, too, on the D-line. That helped today. But just real proud of our whole roster and all the guys that have stepped up throughout this year so far.
There was a lot of faith expressed in Tatum during the week that seemed like it was more than just wishful thinking. Like everybody was very confident that he would go out and do the job. What about him jumped out at you tonight? Is this what you expected?
Yeah, I mean, I got to watch in detail once I see the tape, but I mean, Tatum's a real good linebacker. We were excited to get him out of college. We were excited having him all last year when he made the team, and we've been excited about this offseason. So you never know when your op's going to come, and unfortunately his came with a bad injury to Fred, but he's been ready for this moment for a while, and no one doubted Tatum at all.
What did it mean for you guys to have Fred here tonight?
I mean, love having Fred here. I saw him on the scoreboard up there. It was cool. He got a big cheer from the crowd. He had a big surgery this week, and we saw him on Saturday when he got back in the building. But awesome to have Fred around.
When you're thinking 40 runs, is it like only 39 to Christian in your mind, or really? I mean, it does seem like he is the guy to go to. Is that something you think going into it, or does it just develops as the game goes?
You mean going to him on those?
Throwing to him. I'm just saying, like.
No, I mean, that was the first time we looked at a game that way this year, prior to the game. We just felt, just based off how their team was and stuff, that was just a goal of ours that we thought it would give us the best chance to win. But that's, you just can't just run 40 runs, though, unless everything's going right, as a whole team. Definitely didn't think when I said it last night that all 40 we're going to go to Christian, but he is our starting back, and he doesn't come out that much, so we knew the majority of it would. But I thought Brian had a few big runs today. There's a couple I thought we were going to lose yards on. A few guys unblocked in the backfield. He ended up getting positive gains on it. And I thought Mac made a couple of plays scrambling, too.
How much of a team thing is it to be able to hold Bijan Robinson down to what you did?
A huge team thing. I mean, he's as good as there is. Everyone knows that. You need 11 guys swarming to the ball. If that guy gets too much space, I mean, it's just hard to touch him. I thought we limited the space he got. You try to limit his opportunities by doing good on third down, getting him off the field, and you try to limit how much they can do with it by keeping the ball away from him.
What do you think of the run blocking tonight? It seemed like McCaffrey wasn't getting hit in the backfield nearly as much.
Run blocking seemed real good. And for us to run the ball that well, must have been pretty good.
Sense Kittle's impact in that regard, both as a blocker and maybe the attention that he draws.
Yeah, I think it always helps having Kittle back. Kittle's as good of a blocker as there is. Our other guys have been doing good too, though, so not to take anything away from them in terms of the run game and stuff. Kittle would have liked to get him some more passes tonight, but it was awesome having George back.
It should be a 3rd and 13 throw to McCaffrey. What was the call there? What you saw in that play?
Just something that we had on our call sheet for a 3rd and long situation. I felt like that was the first one we were in the game, and he actually tried to come out on the play, which he came out a number of times in the game. We never sent him back once except for that play. I looked at him and said, go back as long as you're not hurt. And he knew the deal, and he went back, and it was a hell of a play, hell of a throw.
Randall's been an Ironman for this team. I think the number was 58 straight starts. How do you think the guys adjusted up front?
I'll know better when I watch the tape, but I thought Hennessy had a real good offseason with us. Really enjoyed him throughout OTAs and training camp, and I felt I didn't notice anything go bad when Brindle went out. So Hennessy must have been ready for the opportunity, went in there and allowed the offense to keep going, made the right calls. I'm sure he blocked well because of the results that we had. So sucks losing Jake. He's been a stud for us. I got a lot of respect for Jake and how much he's helped us, and it's just a hamstring, so I know he'll be back soon, but it always does take some time, but it's nice to have Hennessy step up and play well too.
How important was them not getting able to get the field goal attempt at the end of the first half? And were you aware that when the ball went up, there might be a chance there was a 10-second runoff if the penalty was called?
Yeah, right when we knew that they got it, as long as they called it, we knew there was going to be a 10-second runoff, so we were pumped. That was huge.
How excited are you that Jones, seems like his baseline for play is pretty high and that he plays pretty efficiently every week?
Yeah, Mac's a real good quarterback. We've thought that before he got here, and we've thought that since the day he got here. He's been great in the offseason, great this year in training camp, and you guys have seen how good he's been in these games, so I feel very fortunate to have Mac.
You mentioned on the NBC broadcast that Colby carried McCaffrey into the end zone. Apparently that's against the rules. What did you see on that?
I saw a pile, and I saw the pile moving across the goal line. So I was happy.
Kyle, any early inklings on how much Bernardo might miss?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Turf toe?
It's a toe, so we'll see. Not sure. Possibly.
All right, there's Kyle Shanahan post-game in Santa Clara after the Niners' 20-10 win on Sunday Night Football versus the Falcons. Let's clean up a couple of things. He mentioned Renardo Green there right at the end, who left the game and did not return with a toe injury. He said it's possibly turf toe, which is probably the last thing the Niners want to hear right now, considering how difficult the turf toe has been for Brock Purdy to navigate. but a turf toe potentially. It is a toe injury for Renardo Green. And then on Jake Brendel, starting center, who started every game for the last number of years for the 49ers at center, a hamstring issue, according to Kyle Shanahan, a pulled hamstring. He said on both those guys they'll know more tomorrow. Shanahan will do his conference call normally sometime in the afternoon. You'll be able to hear all of the important stuff if you're listening throughout the day tomorrow here on 95.7 The Game, but we're not going to know anything specific about those two guys for now. I thought what was interesting, Sterling, was the play that we were talking about, that 3rd and 13 conversion to McCaffrey that led to the touchdown that kind of iced the game for the Niners in the fourth quarter. McCaffrey, he carried the ball the play before that, and I believe that was the play where he lost 5 yards on the pitch, and it was like 2nd and 9, lost 5, then 3rd and 14. And after that play, he starts jogging off to the sideline, and Kyle Shanahan says, "No, stay in there, Christian. As long as you're not hurt, stay in there." If I'm the Falcons and I see that, I know the ball's going to McCaffrey. McCaffrey's leaving the field. Shanahan says, "Oh, Christian, nope, go back in there." I'm just tripling Christian at that point. But he managed to find an opening, got 14 yards on 3rd and 13, and led to the Niners touchdown. Hell of a play, but kind of funny the way that it worked out.
I am shocked that teams haven't just said, bracket him, put a safety on him, put a linebacker. Like, just don't let CMC beat you. Like, you've seen San Francisco do that plenty of times against, whether it's the Rams and Puka or it's the Seahawks and JSN, whoever it may be. The Niners have done a great job taking away opposing teams' best weapons, or at least limiting them, because they usually give them more attention. Christian McCaffrey always seems wide open for whatever reason.
Always.
And on 3rd and 13, although he wasn't wide open, there's about 4 to 3 yards of separation there on the best player on both teams, probably. I don't know what the Falcons were thinking, but maybe leaving one of the reigning offensive player of the year 2 years ago now wide open probably isn't the best idea near the goal line. Just saying.
Yeah, you should probably try to cover that guy, especially when you don't have Brandon Ayuk and you don't have Ricky Pearsall, and George Kittle's playing his first game since week 1. And
Demarcus Robinson dropped a 40-yard easy catch downfield.
We haven't mentioned that. Okay, I'm going to find it in my notes. When was that? That was in the was that in the 3rd quarter?
It was
Where am I here?
It was 13-10. I know that. The Niners started the drive on their own, I don't know.
It was very early
because
fourth quarter.
Sky Moore didn't catch the punt on the 10. He was like, Peter. And like, that's the ball you don't catch on your own 10? And they showed the review. It's out there fluttering around. I know it's tough, but like, you're on your 10, catch the ball. If it's behind you, don't touch it. But it's 3rd and 3.
He's overcorrected. Now he's just not going to catch any punt, no matter where it is, because he's been scolded for catching punts. Yeah.
But it's 3rd and 3, and Mac Jones, it's an underthrown ball. My assumption was he was trying to kind of get a sky punt of like, hey, I maybe can get a DPI, which you could argue that could have been called, but it hits Robinson in the chest.
Yeah. Right between his arms, right between his hands. Yeah.
And he dropped the pass against the Buccaneers last weekend, too.
Yeah, he did.
And this team has had a lot of drops. Kendrick Bourne had 2 games worth of them, and it felt like 1 game. And so he was supposed to be a guy you relied on in big situations like that. And he has been kind of a non-factor ever since signing with San Francisco. Obviously, was suspended early in the season, but ever since he's got back, had a really hard time, 1, getting on the field, but 2, catching the football. And it's not an ideal thing for a wide receiver who's paid to catch the football.
Yeah, he was great in the preseason, but ever since he came back from the suspension, he hasn't really been able to get into any kind of rhythm. Yeah, so that was early fourth quarter. The Niners' drive began late in the 3rd. It carried over into the fourth quarter. 3rd and 3 from the Niners' 35-yard line. Deep shot down the right side to Robinson, and it was kind of just a jump ball, 1v1 versus the corner. He kind of was like Draymond Green on the block and boxed out the cornerback basically to kind of set himself up to make the catch. He honestly worked out really well because he managed to use his body to screen off the defender, but then the ball goes right between his arms and hits off his chest, incomplete. Would have been a huge play, like 30 or 35 yards for the Niners. Probably would have led to a score of some sort, and who knows how the game would have went from there. Interesting decision for Mac on 3rd and 3 to take that kind of shot, because I also noticed on that play that Kendrick Bourne was wide open in the right flat, and you could have just dumped it off to him for the first down. I think the way that this game was going and the fact that you only need 3 yards, do anything to just get the first down by any means necessary, unless you got a dude that's wide open down there. He definitely was not wide open, but I'm not going to blame Mac for that. That's on DeMarcus. It hits you in the hands. You got to make the catch. If you do, the game probably doesn't get as nervy as it does on that next Falcons drive. But oh well, Sterling, the Niners won anyway, so we don't have to complain about it too much.
Yeah, there really was not much to complain about in this game, which felt like the inverse of the Buccaneers game, where it was like, oh, this and that and this, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like everything's going wrong. And this one, you're like, yeah, it's a pretty nice game overall. It's a pretty nice game, and there really isn't much to complain about. And where you can nitpick, I think that may be one of the biggest things, where it's like, okay, but when Pearsall comes back and Kittle's more on the offense, maybe Robinson isn't your number 1 wide receiver or your number 2 guy when it's all said and done. So small things.
What did you think of Mac Jones today? 17 for 26, 152 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. The 1 interception was on that slant to Juwan Jennings in the first half. Niners were moving the ball pretty well. I think it was their second drive of the game. They were moving the ball pretty well, specifically on the ground, which was a surprise that happened really throughout the entirety of this game. And then I don't know if it was a linebacker or a safety who was creeping down, who was a couple steps away from Juwan. You could kind of tell he saw that out of the corner of his eye, his peripheral vision. He saw that guy stepping in, ready to lay a hit on him, and he definitely kind of alligator-armed it, pulled his arms back, kind of contorted his body to avoid the hit before he caught the ball, bounces off of his fingertips into the air, and then an interception was returned for a bit. Maybe that would have been a hospital ball had Juwan just caught it, and then he would have gotten lit up. So maybe not the best decision by Mac Jones, but I think, honestly, you got to put that one more on Juwan than Mac.
Yeah, Mac was fine. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. He wasn't, odd to say, for as good as Mac Jones has been, he was just kind of invincible, if that's the way you want to word it. Like, yeah, he made some nice plays when it mattered most, but this was a Christian McCaffrey day. So
yeah.
Mac Jones, thumbs up, but nothing special.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think, this is not that you want your quarterback to throw for 152, no touchdowns, and 1 interception every day. But given who the Niners are this year, Sterling, and given the injuries that they've sustained, and I think this was always going to be the case this year, at least when you compare it to 2023, when they had all pros at every position offensively, and they all seemed to be at the top of their game, specifically McCaffrey and Ayuk. Debo wasn't what he was like in 2021, but still a really effective player in 2023 as well. And Trent Williams was better than he is now, and maybe you felt the rest of the offensive line, you think you'd probably be right, better than this group, despite them being a couple of other same guys like the center and at right tackle with McKivitz and with Brendel. That was a better offense all the way around, and you had more of an ability to say, all right, Mac, you're throwing for 300 today, and you're getting 3 touchdowns. Yeah. Maybe some of it was obviously because of Brock. Brock, I still think, is a better quarterback than Mac Jones, but a lot of that also was what was happening around that team. What this team is now, Sterling, I don't think they can look to win football games that way. At least that's not the easiest way for them to do it. The easiest way for them to do it is what we saw tonight, which was establish the run game and only go away from it when you have to. And what that is going to translate to is what looks like and what feels like a quarterback just kind of driving the bus, which is what Jimmy Garoppolo turned into. It's what Brock Purdy still, gets criticism for, even though it's not in his control, because he's not the guy that's leading and elevating the rest of the talent offensively, but just do what the head coach is asking of you, hand the ball off to your all-pro running back, and throw on a big 3rd and 4 when you have to, and you better convert that 3rd and 4. And that's what Mac Jones did.
Well, I think the word you're kind of beating around the bush about is system quarterback.
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing.
Be a game manager for a game like this, and yeah, it's not a bad thing. The turnover wasn't really Mac Jones' fault. Maybe you can give it 50-50, but other than that, Mac controlled the clock, controlled the ball, and put it where it needed to be at the right time. So, Does this game get Mac Jones media talking points and all that stuff? No, but it gets you a win. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. You won 20-10, your first 2-score victory of the season. You're 5-2, and Mac Jones has won you 4 of those games. That's exactly what you want by any means necessary.
Yeah, I thought Mac Jones, he was what he had to be in this game, and nothing more and nothing less. And that, honestly, I think is the sign of a good quarterback. And I know we've talked about this in the past, Sterling, that there will be moments where the Niners will say, all right, Brock, you got to win us this game. And if he can, the Niners will win. If he can't, the Niners will lose. Tonight was not one of those games, and there will also be nights where the Niners just simply need Brock to do what Mac did tonight. And I think that's where, as the Niners get ready for Brock returning, and you heard there in what Shanahan was talking about postgame, it does seem like the Niners might be expecting both Pearsall and Brock to be ready for Week 8 when they are in, where are they next week?
I think they're in Houston.
In Houston, yeah. 10 a.m. a week from today on Sunday. When they're in Houston, maybe it is Brock back and maybe Pearsall is back. That might also be a game, Sterling, where it's just like, all right, Brock, we're just going to need you to throw for 175 yards, maybe 1 touchdown. Don't turn the ball over. If you do that, we win. And I think that's where Brock needs to get back to what he was doing early in his career, as opposed to taking risks, pushing the ball down the field a little too often. Just be a game manager like Mac was today, and that might be enough to win you a handful of games still.
Well, not to get too far ahead, but I think that the Niners being able to run the football will be a big part of that, where you can tell Brock feels like it's on my shoulders. I have to win this game for a team, although it's a 1-score game in the third quarter. Like, take a step back, realize that we can get you 100 yards on the ground, we can move the football and get you an easy third down conversion. And if that can continue like it happened tonight, you should be able to ease Brock Purdy back into the fray and hopefully maybe alleviate the pressure off his shoulders of being the franchise quarterback. You're paid like that, but sometimes you don't always have to play like that. So I'm hoping that's the case for Brock and company.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, we got about 10 minutes left with you here on Overtime on 95.7 The Game. Niners knock off the Falcons 20-10. We took a week off from this because last week was such a rough game down in Tampa. You lose Fred Warner and you lose the game. But we got to get back to handing out game balls because there's so many game balls to go around in this game. Let's start on the offensive side of the football, as always, Sterling, and you can go first. On offense, who gets your game ball? I will just add there is one very, very, very obvious one. Feel free to take it if you want.
I mean, it's pretty hard not to, right? It's Christian McCaffrey, 200-plus scrimmage yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, a guy that, without Christian McCaffrey, this team is probably not 5-2, let alone above 500. Yep. He's been that important to the team. CMC, all the way. This is the guy that you need him to be. We worry so much about the touches. He had 24 carries tonight. He had 7 catches, led the team in receptions, receiving yards, touchdowns, rushing carries, and rushing yards. He is the San Francisco 49ers offense. 129 yards on the ground. I think the first time this year they've broken 100 as a singular player, and maybe even as a team. It's been pretty rough on the ground for San Francisco, but tonight it felt pretty smooth sailing for CMC. So I'm going Christian McCaffrey, an easy game ball on the offensive side.
Yeah, good pick. There's not a lot of others to choose from. You know what? I'm going to go to Trent Williams, Sterling. I thought Trent Williams had one of his better games, if not maybe his best game of the year. There's a couple of plays where it was swing passes out to McCaffrey or maybe tosses left. And big old Trent running out there in motion, just laying a shoulder into a poor defensive back, and the defensive back goes flying. I think the combination of Trent Williams and George Kittle on that left side of that offensive line and kind of getting out in motion, or maybe it's, Kittle coming through to the right of the right guard on a run, and he's setting the path for McCaffrey to follow. The combo of those two is working really well. But this was the first time, I think, in quite a while where I went, oh, Trent, he's in motion, look out, and he just laid a couple dudes out. You get used to that, and frankly, we've missed it a little bit this year, so I'm going to circle Trent Williams. I thought he had one of his better games of the year.
Do you think that's what opposing nickelbacks and linebackers say? Oh, Trent, he's in motion.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe
he's barreling down on them.
Maybe there's an expletive or two mixed in because I know.
Oh, I'm sure.
I would just turn around and get the hell out of there. I do not want that dude running straight at me. He might be getting up there. Not might. He definitely is getting up there, but he can still move. And you're moving that fast when you're that big and you have one goal in mind. It's to hurt somebody else. I want no part of that. I would make a business decision.
The offensive line, though, with Kittle back, it kind of feels like they have 3 tackles on it, which is just a big game changer where you can have a tackle next to your right tackle and Colton McKivitz with George Kittle next to him. And you have Trent, who is still one of the best in football. And you add George Kittle, the best blocking tight end. I mean, pretty obvious why CMC found some success tonight. So having 2 tackles on the same side certainly helps.
Yeah, no doubt. And I will say, just in terms of the ability of the Niners to stack wins and make the playoffs and, hell, maybe still compete for the NFC West, the run game is paramount to that. I didn't really know what to expect. I probably would have been ready, Sterling, if the Niners lost this game tonight and the run game was still, average to bad. I might have been ready to say, I don't know if this team can make the playoffs. If they can't run the ball against this team, I'm having a really hard time feeling like they're going to be able to win a handful of games down the stretch. And not that I think the offense can't score points if they can't run the ball, but you're going to have to score a lot of points because we don't know what this defense really is. Now, today proved that wrong entirely because they both ran the ball and played really, really good defensively. But I would also argue the run game really, really helped the defense by extending drives and keeping the Atlanta defense out there and keeping them a little fresher. So that certainly works hand in hand. But if you were to tell me that the Niners suddenly figure out their run game, they win today, they're 5-2, I feel 100 times better about my belief in this team making the playoffs, just simply because the run game finally looks like a Shanahan run game for the first time all year.
Well, we talked about last Sunday about this team has to win 6 more games, get to 10, and you should find yourself being a playoff team. Now, maybe something crazy happens and you don't, but they knocked off one of those 6 needed wins to hopefully go to the playoffs. Now the magic number is somewhere around 5.
Yeah, 5 and 5.
Can you win
probably gets
5 more games? Can you play 500 football to end your season? I think it's a pretty, I don't want to say guarantee. That's, nothing's guaranteed what this team has played and the injuries they've had. But, with the injuries they've had, shockingly to say that I don't know if my expectations have really changed for the team. My thought was you'd be an NFC West contender. You may lose to the Rams in the division, but you're going to be a 10-ish win team, go in the wild card, and play good football down the stretch. And I think that's still the case for this team as a whole, that you win 10 games, you're going to be exactly at least where I thought they'd be when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Defensive game balls coming in just a sec, but just to emphasize how important this game was, Sterling, and maybe you would feel differently or not if they had lost this game. If they had lost this game, do you know in the playoff picture where they would be, what seed they would be in the playoff picture had they lost?
Well, they would have fallen from out of the first place in the NFC West, so probably around 6 or 7?
Believe it or not, they would be 9th. And out of the playoffs at 4-3 because the NFC is just so bunched up right now. If you're not winning your division and you're 4-3, you are behind a trio of 4-2 teams currently: the Seahawks, the Lions, and the Bears. Now, some of these numbers are off because the Seahawks, they play tomorrow. The Bears have already had a bye, yada, yada, yada. The Panthers are also 4-3. You would be tied with the Panthers, but you would have them beaten on conference record. So you would be the 9 seed, tied with the team that is behind you in 10th if you had lost here. So this is a big deal and a huge win for the Niners today. Not that you can't, survive from a 4-3 start, but just given the way the NFC is, I think today was really, really huge. Okay, defensive game ball, Sterling. You can go first. Who gets your defensive game ball from the 20-10 Sunday Night Football win for the Niners?
You know what? I'm going to give it to a player that wasn't supposed to play, but played due to injury. Okay. I'm going to give it to Chase Lucas.
I like it.
A guy who had a tremendous, preseason, was out there making plays, looked like the preseason MVP for this defense, a guy that was on the roster last year, just not utilized as a special teamer under Nick Sorensen. But in this game on a 4th and 1, and what could have been the game-changing play had the Falcons got the first down conversion, gets a pass breakup, almost got a pick 6. It was that close, folks.
Yeah.
They have now 14 games, no interceptions in a row.
Incredible.
Someone bring it in for once,
Oh, my God.
please.
It's the one thing that Robert Saleh can't do is get an interception. He can do everything else.
He can get fumbles and wins and sacks and win with third-string linebackers, but he just can't get interceptions. But I think Chase Lucas had the play of the game. He's a big spark plug. They utilize him on blitzes and one of the biggest pass breakups of the season by far on that 4th and 1. Gets San Francisco the ball back, leads them to a touchdown on the very next drive. So Chase Lucas may have had one of the biggest plays of this game tonight against the Falcons.
Yeah, that play you're talking about, the 4th and 1 on the Falcons' last really meaningful drive of the game. Down 3, they're in deep field goal range, decide to go for it. Target Drake London, who, I don't know, he's got to have 6 inches on Chase Lucas and probably 10 inches in terms of wingspan. But Chase Lucas knocked that ball down, forced the turnover. Quick shout out to Sam Okawanu and Jordan Elliott, though, who tackled Bijan on 3rd and 1 for no gain, setting up the 4th down. That was a big play as well. Without that tackle by Sam Okawanu and Jordan Elliott, Chase Lucas doesn't have that chance to get the turnover on down. So big play by that group, but good shout out for Chase Lucas. I'll go, I guess, with the obvious one on defense. I think there's a number of guys that deserve shout outs, but I'm going to go with Tatum Bethune. Making his first start as the quarterback of the defense, filling in for Fred Warner. Coming into the game wearing Fred Warner's rookie jersey when Fred was number 48. And that kind of was like a theme, a mantra for the Niners all week leading up to this game because Kyle Shanahan showed a lot of the guys on defense tape from Fred Warner before the dreadlocks and before he was wearing, his now patented number 54 when he was wearing 48. It's hard to tell that that's Fred Warner, and that was exactly Shanahan's point. Fred Warner began as 48 in relative obscurity and then very quickly transformed into who we know he is today, and that's what could be on the table for some of these other players, and Tatum Bethune took a good step towards that today. Led the team in tackles, had a tackle for loss, but you know what that guy does, the guy wearing the green dot defensively, he's responsible for so much more, and his impact is felt so much deeper than just the tackles that he records. I thought Tatum Bethune played as good as you possibly could have expected him to play, making his first start in that position.
It was a phenomenal game for a player that was a 7th-round draft pick. He was their last pick 251 2 years ago, and I dug deep into my email account, and I found my scouting report on Tatum Bethune coming out of that year, and I said, he's good in coverage. He excels in zone coverage. He's fluid in man coverage as well. Strong, forceful tackler, can play the Mike linebacker, and he is the exact opposite of D. Winters. A high floor, low ceiling kind of player, and can start in a pinch. Well, right now, San Francisco finds themselves in a pinch. And in this game, Bethune looked like a tremendous find in round 7 out of Florida State 2 years ago, and a guy that I think has a pretty bright future, and they're going to have the need without Fred Warner. So a great first start for Bethune and a tremendous showing in primetime football with the world watching. What a great game from him.
Yeah, absolutely. He was very good in this game. All right, that'll do it. That's all the time we got tonight. Sterling, we will be back a week from now. Niners in Houston on Sunday, October 26th. That's a 10 o'clock Pacific kick, which means Sterling and I will be on the air on Sunday afternoon, sometime around 1 o'clock or so here on 95.7 The Game. Looking forward to that. Sterling, great to be with you for a win once again as the Niners got back in the win column 20-10, the final, and I'll talk to you coming up in a week next Sunday.
Sounds great, Mark. And DeMeco Ryans, bring it on, brother. Let's get a Kyle Shanahan, DeMeco Ryans face-off in Texas. I can't wait, baby.
Going to be a big game. Houston, they need some wins. A little bit of a slow start for them. They're putting it together a little bit. We will see. Looking forward to that. All right, that's all the time we got today for Sterling. For our guys behind the glass, Cam and Steven, I'm Grandy signing off. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk next time here on Overtime on 95.7 The Game.
What's your financial future look like? At Pettinelli Financial Partners, we help you shape it. Whether you're planning for retirement, buying a home, or saving for something special, our professionals are here to provide clear guidance and smart strategies. Visit PettinelliFP.com today and take the first step toward a more secure financial future. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos and